friends, I am a stranger here. I'm neither a journalist, I don't own a newspaper or a channel. And the reason why I'm here, I must tell you. I come here on invitation to say a few words to you, not just because I believe and have always believed in our constitutionally guaranteed press or media freedom, but more importantly and more significantly, for me at least, because I also believe in the independence, integrity and honesty of Pranoy Roy of NDTV, who has been a friend for more than 30 years, and on whose invitation I attend this meeting. As to the topic, press freedom, we are here speaking amongst the people who are already converted. We citizens enjoy freedoms that are not enjoyed in most places in the continent of Asia. I did not realize this until a few years ago, when my wife and I attended the Commonwealth Law Conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. One of the delegates was a retired judge of Malaysia's Court of Appeal, and he told a crowded hall of over 1,000 delegates in the presence of the then Prime Minister, Mr. Mahathir, who, as you know, was not exactly a liberal. He said in a loud voice, "Our written constitution guarantees freedom of speech." Loud applause. Then after a pause, he added, looking towards his Prime Minister, "But it does not guarantee freedom after speech." This is exactly what happened. Freedom after speech is really what freedom of speech is all about. Please, all of you, never forget this. You are allowed to speak. Speak as much as you like. But there is one fellow waiting there to nab you and put you in so that you can't speak again. That is the protection that we are asking for. But let me make one thing clear. No one is immune from being prosecuted for a criminal offense. Let's get this very clear. Not any of you, nor I, nor Pranoy Roy, nor NDTV. They can all be prosecuted. But the manner and circumstances and the so-called justification of the CBI raids give me reason to believe that all this, that is the raids and the FIR filed by the CBI, are definitely an unjustified attack on press and media freedom. Let me tell you why. In this instance, on 2nd of June 2017, note the date, a first information report is lodged by the CBI with the CBI court, as it is called, alleging criminal conspiracy, cheating and criminal misconduct on the part of NDTV, Pranoy Roy, his wife Radhika, unknown officials of ICICI Bank, about something that took place during the financial year 2008-2009. Mark that, please. 7 years after 2008-2009, this complaint is filed as an FIR in the CBI court. The FIR was lodged by the CBI on the basis not of any discovery of its own, but only and solely on the basis of information supplied by one gentleman, Sanjay Dutt, Director of Quantum Securities Limited, to the Director CBI in his letter of complaint dated, mark the date, 28th April 2017, marked confidential. Although the criminal misconduct was said to have occurred in 2008-2009, as to why it was not brought to light earlier was not mentioned either in the letter nor in the complaint. Nor did the CBI bother to find out why something that happened in the year 2008-2009 was not brought to the notice of the CBI court or any other criminal court or any other person before 28th April 2007. The entire FIR filed by the CBI before the CBI court is based only on information supplied in the complaint of Sanjay Dutt in his letter of 28th April 2017. This is what is of great significance is that prior to filing his complaint with the CBI, in his letter of 28th April by Sanjay Dutt, although he had sent more than 200 emails to NDTV on various matters, he had not addressed any communication to NDTV, making specific allegations mentioned in his complaint to the CBI, nor does he explain why he did not file an FIR in a criminal court, himself alleging breaches of criminal law. In the first place, I don't know whether on any other occasion, merely on an application or a complaint of one person about a third person committing an act of criminal misconduct, the CBI immediately institutes a criminal inquiry. I should have thought the CBI would say, you go to a criminal court and file your criminal case. There's no difficulty. At which there would not have been the necessity of such a meeting. Because if a criminal case is filed by Mr. Pranoy Roy, however much we may like him, we cannot, in the garb of press freedom, say that he should be exonerated. Anybody is entitled to file a criminal complaint against anybody, including an editor, a journalist, etc. But the importance of this matter is that an individual, a private individual, having some grouse against a particular channel, does not himself file a complaint alleging breach of trust, breach of this and breach of that, but goes to the CBI that you please have this investigated, and the CBI obliges by promptly filing this particular FIR and preceded by raids which are carried out and widely publicized. More importantly, on receiving such a complaint, what is the obligation of an investigative agency of the state? Nobody has mentioned this. Let us assume that Mr. Sanjay Dutt filed his letter of complaint to the CBI about a particular thing that has happened to third parties. Obviously, the first thing it would do, in fairness, would be to ask the persons against whom allegations are made, that is NDTV and ICICI Bank, as to what they have to say in the matter. Particularly since the allegations now made in 2017 are in respect of events of the year 2008 and 2009. But no such inquiry was made by the CBI before conducting the raids on 5th June 2017, nor before filing of the FIR on 2nd June. Not a single letter of CBI to NDTV with regard to allegations made in Sanjay Dutt's letter of 28th April 2017. My legal submission is, and please note this, that in the case of an allegation by any government or governmental agency, including the CBI, of criminal wrongdoing against the press or the media, which enjoys constitutionally guaranteed press freedom, whenever the CBI files a criminal complaint, an FIR, not of its own, but on the basis of information supplied by a third party, it must, in furtherance of press freedom guaranteed under 19(1)(a), first inquire from the owners and promoters of the company running the press or the media what it has to say in the matter before conducting raids on its premises and on premises of those in charge of the press, and before filing a criminal complaint. This is must do, not as a matter of courtesy or favor, but in my view as a matter of constitutional obligation. In the present case, Pranoy Roy has assured me that he and NDTV have a complete answer to each and every statement made in the letter of 28th April, headed confidential and privileged, addressed by Sanjay Dutt to the CBI, which is a letter reproduced in full in the FIR, and that he, Pranoy Roy, has never had an opportunity to deal with its contents. I believe him. But this is not the place or occasion to debate whether NDTV has or has not committed an offense as alleged in the complaint letter. But the events immediately preceding the letter on the much publicized raids are much more significant. Please note the dates. On 1st of June, on a television program of NDTV, when Sanjay Hazarika was speaking, and the official BJP spokesperson, Mr. Sambit Patra, interrupted him, Sanjay Hazarika asked whether Sambit Patra had the right to interrupt. Sambit Patra said the following: I interrupt people only on NDTV. And I do that because NDTV has an agenda and I need to do that. At this, the anchor asked Patra to leave or to apologize. Patra, why should I leave? I will expose the NDTV agenda. I should expose you and your TV's agenda. The anchor replied that to use such kind of language and make such kind of accusation is unacceptable. But Mr. Patra persisted and said, I will expose it till the end of this debate. At which the anchor said, I am not continuing this debate with you any longer. It was after BJP party spokesman Patra's accusation on live TV on June 1st that the CBI raids took place on 5th June at Pranoy Roy's residence in Delhi, at his home in Dehradun and Mussoorie, and at the NDTV office in Delhi. I urge you to consider these events and their sequence. They must worry you as they have worried me. Pratap Bhanu Mehta, in an article in the Indian Express shortly after these raids 2 days ago, said, and I quote, once the press called all politicians cheats, the political class simply turned the tables on them by calling them prostitutes, and the result has been a wholesale delegitimization of the media. We are meeting here, I believe, to prevent further delegitimization of the media by condemning the unexplained raid on NDTV, the filing of an FIR by CBI on the basis solely of information given in a complaint in a confidential and privileged communication to the CBI, of which the CBI filed an FIR, admittedly without ascertaining from NDTV as to whether the facts stated were true or not. All this, of course, pertains to the NDTV case. When there is a single party majoritarian government in power, as there is today, and in the present day, and as there was, please remember, never forget that, as there was in the years when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, and for a while when Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister, a similar situation had prevailed. Many of you may not recall it, but I do. And there were similar attacks on the freedom of the press. The one which I remember the most and mentioned to you is the attack on the Indian Express and on Mr. Goenka. I still remember that he was hauled up for, when they could find nothing, for about 120 criminal complaints filed all over the country for non-filing of certain returns, which was a requirement of some section of the Companies Act. And on instructions from the center, he was not permitted to appear by advocate, but had to appear personal. So he'd go to these 100 courts all around the country. And I told him one day that now, Goenka ji, what's the point? And as you know, at that time, Indira Gandhi was getting stronger and stronger. And I said, how many years will you do this? And he grinded his teeth. I don't know if any of you had met him. He was a great chap. He was a tiger. He grinded his teeth and said, Nariman, we must fight. Nariman, we must fight. That was his clarion call. And we fought. And ultimately, in the Supreme Court, we ultimately won because they wanted to take away the Indian Express building, which is here and publishing all the material, so that nothing could be published by the Indian Express. But in that they failed. So therefore, whenever there is a majoritarian government, there is this tendency. And therefore, we have to first resist this tendency. But then the question is, and that has been frequently put, what has that got to do with all these other channels and all these good chaps in the press? Leave it all. NDTV can suffer if they want to. But this is the sort of query to which one of the most effective answers was given long, long ago. It was in a poem written by a German priest, Martin Niemöller, and it was about the cowardice of German intellectuals following the Nazis' rise to power and the subsequent purging of chosen targets group by the Nazis. This poem is now enshrined, and you'll find a copy of it in the Holocaust Memorial Museum in New York, and this is how it goes. It's very interesting. First, they came for the communists. I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out. I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. And there was no one left to speak for me. Please remember that. That's the most damning thing that has happened. And therefore, I request you to consider NDTV apart. They'll manage their own affairs as best as they can. But we may today contemplate, and we should contemplate, whether the blessings of a free press are really worthwhile. There are several views of this, and those that I like best are the following. One, first, the sophisticated view, given by our own Supreme Court way back in 1950, the year of the birth of our Constitution, when in Ramesh Thapar's case, the judges, 5 judges, spoke eloquently about the right of free speech and expression. This is what they said. A freedom of such amplitude might involve risks of abuse, but the framers of the Constitution may have reflected with Madison, who was the leading spirit in the preparation of the First Amendment of the US Constitution, that it is better to leave a few of its noxious branches to their luxuriant growth rather than by pruning them away to injure the vigor of those yielding proper fruits. The other answer is not so sophisticated. It was given by an experienced political figure, a man who later became our president. It is a story of long, long ago. It was at a time when the editor of a prominent daily in Delhi had written an article of critical of some action of President Zahil Singh, and Gyaniji was so upset that he told his secretary, summon this fellow to Rashtrapati Bhavan and I will give him a dressing down. Man went, and when he called on Gyaniji, to his surprise, the Rashtrapati, all pearly white teeth that he had, embraced this editor and exchanged pleasantries and said, Editor Sahab, halchal kya hai? The secretary, whose duty it was to inform the president why he had summoned him, curtly asked, whispered anxiously into the president's ear, Sir, you are supposed to get angry with him. At which Zahil Singh responded, typical of the man, Are, unko likhne do, padhta kaun? Unko likhne do, padhta kaun? This is perhaps a more pragmatic answer to the occasional abuses by the press of its privileges. But let me conclude with a message conveyed in one final story. And this is a true story. Mario Cuomo was governor of New York for many years. Like Gyaniji, he was a wily politician. He once addressed a prestigious body, the New York Press Club, soon after the New York Times, in an editorial, accused him of exercising political patronage as governor through his law firm run by his own son. Cuomo spoke about press freedom, and this is what he said when speaking of the First Amendment in the Constitution of the United States, like our 19(1)(a). And I'm quoting this, please listen carefully. The founding fathers knew precisely what they were dealing with. They had a press, and the press of their time was not only guilty of bad taste and inaccuracy, it was partisan, reckless, and sometimes vicious. Indeed, the founding fathers were themselves often at the point end of the press sword. They knew the dangers. They knew that broad freedoms would be inevitably accompanied by some abuse and even harm to innocent people. Knowing all the odds, they chose to gamble on liberty. And the gamble has made us all rich and happy. Overall, the press has been a force for good, educating our people, guarding our freedom, watching our government, challenging it, goading it, revealing it, forcing it out into the open. Close inverted commas. I suggest that on this day, we adopt Governor Cuomo's message and gamble on liberty. There is no other democratic way. Thank you.